This is the tennis anti-doping portal. As a physician, if you've been invited to take part in an application by a player, you'll need to set up an account. To do this, you can click on Sign Up as a Physician and then fill in the boxes on the screen. You'll need your email address, your name, a mobile phone number and a password. The mobile phone number is important because you'll be sent a PIN code in order to complete your registration. As a physician, once a player has invited you to take part in their application, you'll receive a text message and/or email informing you of this. You can then log in to the tennis anti-doping portal, assuming you've already set up an account, and you'll be met with the home screen. On that screen, it should show any applications that you've been invited to take part in. We can see that there's an application here that the physician can click on and then start to fill in. The first page gives the physician's information. If they already have an account, this should be pre-populated. You can then click on Continue. The next page gives further contact information. Again, this should be pre-populated and you can click on Continue. On this screen, you can select your role in the TUE application by selecting the drop-down menu. You have a variety of options, including being the diagnosing, treating and prescribing physician, or for example, simply being the applying physician, but not diagnosing or treating. In this case, I'll select the diagnosing, treating and prescribing physician, but the process on the next few pages is the same regardless of which option you select. It must be noted though, that if you select that you are simply the applying physician and are neither diagnosing nor treating the player, you or the player will have to get supporting medical evidence from that physician. On this screen, you can specify the diagnosis. If you click on the medical condition box, you'll get a drop-down list with a variety of different conditions. In this case, the player is suffering from a musculoskeletal condition. In the box below, you can enter further details regarding the diagnosis. So in this case, the player has lateral epicondylitis, or more commonly known as tennis elbow, and this is causing pain in the player's dominant arm. Once you have entered the medical condition, you can press Continue, and this moves on to the section regarding the substance or method to be used. If you start typing in the substance or method box, the relevant medications will come up and you can select from the list. In this case, triamcinolone acetonide. Next, you can click on the route of administration, and in this case there are a variety of options, but I will select intra-articular. After that, you can select the dose and the frequency. So this player will be getting 20 milligrams of triamcinolone one time, and you can select the unit in the far side. Once you've completed details of the substance or method, at the bottom of the page there's a declaration regarding alternative therapeutic treatments. When you click on this, it gives 3 options. All reasonable therapeutic alternatives have been tried. There are no reasonable therapeutic alternatives to the requested prohibited substance or method. There are therapeutic alternatives that have not been tried. You should select the most appropriate one of these, and in certain cases you'll be asked to provide further details. If your treatment requires further medications or methods, then you have the option to add those at this stage before continuing on. The next page asks you whether the application is retroactive or not. You have the option of selecting from the drop-down menu. If the application is not retroactive, simply select the bottom option. Treatment will only start if and when a TUE is granted. You can then click on Continue. At this stage, you'll be presented with the criteria in the International Standard for Therapeutic Use Exemptions that must be met in order for an application to be approved. It must be noted that all 4 of the criteria that you can see on the screen must be met in order for the application to be approved. You can then click on Continue. On this screen, you'll be asked to upload all supporting medical documents regarding the player's condition. Please note that all of these documents must be in English, and you'll receive a list of documents for that condition that must be attached. So in the case of this musculoskeletal condition, a medical assessment, copies of imaging tests, and a thorough clinical history must be attached. At the bottom of the screen, you'll have a drop-down menu where you can select the type of document, and then you can upload those documents. Please note that all of these documents must be in English. You'll also be provided a list of the relevant documents to upload for the specified condition. So in the case of this musculoskeletal condition, a medical assessment, copies of any imaging tests, and a thorough clinical history are required. I've already attached these documents, but if you scroll down and click on Add More Documents, you'll have the option of attaching different types of documents: medical evaluation, laboratory investigation, imaging studies, a psychiatric or psychological report, or any other documentation. Once all of the relevant documentation is uploaded, you can click on Continue, at which point you'll see a summary of information regarding the player, the medical practitioner, the diagnosis, the treatment, and any previous applications the player has had. You can then read the statement and then sign the application by using the password you used to log in to the Tennis Anti-Doping portal. If you are submitting a retroactive application for treatment that you have already had or started, these will only be approved under certain circumstances. The drop-down menu gives you a list of those circumstances. For example, if the player was tested in their first covered or sanctioned event, if the player required urgent or emergency treatment, if the player had insufficient time or opportunity to submit a prospective application, if the player took out of competition a substance which is only prohibited in competition, in which case it will likely relate to the washout period of the substance. It would be unfair not to grant a retroactive TUE, though it must be noted that this condition should only be selected after discussion by the player with the ITIA, and the final condition is if a prospective TUE was not required or permitted by the player's national anti-doping organisation. Once you have selected one of the retroactive criteria, you'll have the option in the description box below to provide further details regarding the circumstances of that particular criteria. Prior to being evaluated by the TUE committee, any personal information in the supporting documents will be redacted unless you have already done so. All applications are reviewed anonymously. If you need any assistance at any stage of the process, please contact us and let us know.